Welcome to the show. It's part 3 of the checklist that you need when you're buying a home. Some more information on home inspections, the closing process, and then things to do after you close and get your keys. Let's checklist it up.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time home buyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time home buyers.
What is happening in the heat, my How to Buy a Homies? The summer rush is on us. Mortgage interest rates, they've hit a 10-month low. Our housing inventory is up, and we are crushing it over here with first-time home buyers and planners finding their own path to dump their renting days forever. I'm still David Sidoni, your first-time homebuyer advocate and educator, here to give you a fair shake in the crooked game that we call real estate. After 20 years of doing this, I champion all first-timers, and one of my biggest tips, of all time, the one that is miles ahead of every tip that I give, the one that will help you avoid the most pitfalls, as well as help you find the most amazing solutions that you didn't even know existed that will save you thousands and thousands of dollars, it's this one. When it comes to planning, you don't have to do it alone. And the earlier that you start with a professional real estate support team, what I call a unicorn, the more money you save and the better home you'll be able to buy. But even though I repeat this mantra over and over and over on the podcast, people still have questions. I say over and over again, spend 10 times, 20 times, 100 times longer researching, picking the right realtor and lender than you do researching, how do I get the best interest rate? How do I write an offer? What do I look for in the home? Is this crack mean I should buy this house? So here I am. And my goal is to educate everyone on as much information as I can. I get questions all the time about the minutia of how to shop for a home, how to write an offer, how to negotiate. Send me a picture, say, is this look bad, David? Should I buy this house? I understand. So to appease the masses, I've done 2 parts of a checklist that you should do when you're buying a home. And part 3 is a bunch of things that you guys have asked me about. But I'm telling you, my best advice is stop asking me how to do heart surgery and instead find the best local heart surgeon in your area and create a team and work with them for this big step in your life. All the things on the checklist that I've gone through and the things I'm going to go through today, these are things that the best realtors and lenders already know and they're going to implement with you. So spend more time on learning about the planning process, interviewing your realtors, interviewing your lenders, and then finding the squad that can work the planning custom made for you to get you your maximum success. You shouldn't feel like you have to learn everything and become a professional before a professional is willing to talk to you. You're not bothering them. The good ones love to help you plan. And yet here I am 6 years in, and I just can't stop with the questions that come to me every day. So here are some answers on inspections, the closing process, and things to do right after you get your keys. I know in this list I've talked about inspections a lot, but boy, everyone asks me about it all the time. So here's some more. Number 1, dads love you. They're deal killers. This is a known fact inside the real estate industry. If you have a dad who loves to kick the tires of everything he buys, leave him at home for your home inspection. That's it. I'm just saying. Number 2, for home inspection, bring a flashlight. Number 3, always take photos for yourself. Not necessarily photos of things that you need to fix, but little reminders of maybe places you want to do a little addition or add something, or, oh, we should do something over here. Just take a ton of pictures. Here's one too. Take photos of the serial and model numbers of the appliances that are staying. You're going to need that to get warranty information, as well as if you have to do repairs later on down the line. Now, for the inspection, budget at least $500. They sometimes can be $600, $700, $800, $900, depending how big your home is, and it is worth every single penny. I say this in some of the other episodes. Do not chintz out and get frugal on this part of your home buying process. You spend that and you don't get it back. Yes, that's true. If you decide not to buy the home, the inspection money's gone forever. But if you try to save money, the math is ridiculous. You're going to save a few $100s now, but you should be spending as much as you can for the best inspector, because they're going to help you avoid tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars later on. Get a good inspector. Here's something I learned the hard way. Request a sewer scope. Yeah, early in my real estate days, I wasn't doing sewer scopes with people. And one of my buyers, about a year and a half in, their entire front yard became a sinkhole. So if you can, make sure you can get a sewer scope in your area if that's something that you need to do. Check with the pipes. If you've got a regular suburban tract home, you want to find out what's the usual life on the pipes in that neighborhood. What kind do you have right now? And then this is the big thing that I like to tell people. Find out when people are doing new construction in that area, what pipes are being installed, because there's all kinds of different arguments, copper pipes, about something we call PEX. So there's a lot of different things. So get to know your pipes. Now, this isn't for everybody, but a lot of people in the Midwest and the Northeast, talk to your real estate agent. Talk to your unicorn realtor. Make sure they know about radon tests. That's something that happens in your area. And then here's a weird little tip. If the open house had a whole bunch of candles and fancy scents, at the home inspection, make sure none of that's there. And take a big sniff at that home inspection. You don't want all of those fancy scents that you smelled at the walkthrough originally to be covering up smells like mildew, things that are really important to you to look out for. Another tip, verify the HOA rules and the fees. Read completely the CC&R documents before you move forward. You also want to check the HOA's insurance coverage certificate, especially on your condos and townhomes. Here's another little tip that has helped my buyers a lot. Ask the sellers for their utility bills at different times of the year, so you can budget based on the true monthly cost. But keep in mind, maybe they're those sick people who like to live in a terrarium and keep their thermostat at 78. Not me. So I know my bill is going to be a lot more expensive than theirs. While you're at your inspection, make sure you find the gas and water shutoff valves. And of course, your electrical breakers as well. Knowing where all that stuff is can be really important later on. And it's not something you want to have to figure out in an emergency. Lots of other silly little things like review your neighborhood trash pickup schedules and the rules. You don't want to break the rules and put your trash can in the wrong place. Find out what's going on with fence ownership. A lot of times, in some areas, especially in larger land homes, if you've got acres and acres, you'd probably want to get a survey to make sure you understand where all the boundaries are, because sometimes people just go, it's okay, neighbor Bob's been 5 feet over on that part of the land for 25 years. Well, that's how boundary disputes start, so you want to make sure you've got that stuff all figured out before you close on the home. If your home has a security system, make sure that you've got the transfers all in place. You understand all of that, get the codes and all the subscriptions. You definitely want to verify your attic insulation type. There's something called an R value. Talk to your inspector and your realtor about that and make sure that everything's at the level you need it to be. Another thing I find in suburban areas all the time is everyone who does an inspection, they want your home to be like at the top of a hill. And I mean, like, once the walls end and the yard starts, they want the yard to slope down. So just understand, you're going to hear and see a lot of stuff in the home inspection saying that you have the wrong drainage. Well, nobody builds a home and then slopes down all 4 parts of the yard, but that's what they want, so everything slopes away from the foundation of the home. Another little thing, make sure your inspector does this, and if they don't, you got to do it yourself. Confirm all of the windows that they open and close properly during the inspection. You'd be surprised how many times you find out they're painted shut or they just don't work. If you've got a good relationship with the seller, ask them for instruction manuals for the appliances they've got. See if they'll leave them behind for you. And then the last little tip I'm going to give on inspections is if you have requested that the seller repairs something in lieu of a credit, something that you negotiated after the inspection, here's the way it works. You usually are going to give them up until right before you close on the home to re-inspect the repairs that they've done. Now, this gets tricky because most of the time, your earnest money deposit, that's going to be forfeited at that time. You're going to remove the contingency. And if you're smart, you're going to make sure that it's removed until with everything except re-inspecting the things that they said they were going to repair. But here's where it gets even more complex. Problem is, you're going to be re-inspecting that just a few days before you're scheduled to close on the property and potentially move in. Now, at that time, there's going to be mounds of paperwork done. The loan's going to be trying to get funded, and everyone's got moving trucks coming. And now you've got to fight over, well, you didn't put it on exactly how we wanted to, and there's still a whole... It's a mess. If you can, I always recommend trying to get a credit rather than having them repair something for you, even if the seller says they're super handy. Okay. Next topic is closing process. Now, the big thing about closing is that it's fluid. So if you're one of those people who's a little anal, a little particular, you're going to hate closing too. Nothing is going to be exactly down to the penny until the very last minute, and the dates of the closing are very fluid. Everyone who works in real estate every single day does not have the absolute dead date that you do when you sign the contract. And I wish more people explain that to the people. This is our target. It's not a deadline. So be ready for that closing date to move around because there's so many moving parts involved. There's an entire episode about the whole closing process in the show notes. Check that out if you really want to know. Here's some rapid fire tips. Verify the utility transfer dates early to avoid gaps in service. Now, if you think you're going to close on about the 25th, I say put everything in your name on the 20th. But David, that means I'm paying for the utilities for 5 days. Yep. That's what I recommend. Because otherwise, if you wait till the last minute, suddenly maybe they decide to turn it off on the 23rd because they move out early. Now, if you go to turn it on, well, first of all, you might not get to go get your keys until 6 or 7 o'clock at night because maybe the closing took all day long and you don't officially own the home until it records with the county and you show up and there's no lights. So that sucks. But the big reason is if there are gaps in service, some of the utilities are going to charge you a few $100 to return on. When it comes to utilities, transfer them early into your name, pay the few cents to cover those days. And seriously, if they say they're moving out on the 25th, don't believe them. I always get the utilities in the name of the buyers like the Friday before the weekend that they say they're going to move out because who knows, they might get a hair and decide to move then. Another one, set your USPS, United States Postal Service address change online before you move in. It's the worst thing that happens. It shows up early. If they're gone, it's going to be piled up. If they're there, they're just going to make a nice little pile for you. You are going to be doing a walkthrough 24 to 48 hours before the closing, but realize by that time, almost everything's done. You're really just going to make sure they didn't take a sledgehammer to the walls. When you go through the closing, gigantic funds of money are going to be transferred. Wire fraud is one of the biggest scams in real estate. So be ready for it. All right? You absolutely never want to do anything because someone emailed you or texted you, even if it's got the logo of an escrow or a title or a lawyer or your bank. What you want to do before you wire money is pick up the phone, have a voice-to-voice conversation with somebody that you've already talked to in this process, not somebody new. They're getting really good at these scams. And finally, ensure that all the repair receipts, anything that got repaired, if you didn't get a credit for it, get those collected from the seller before you close on the home. Because once you close on the home, they could be gone and maybe they're moving all the way across country and you've got no way to get in touch with them again and they don't have a reason to. They got your money, they out. And now this next part's really just for fun. This is things to do after you get the keys to the home. These are your post-closing smart move. I love this checklist because it means that you have the confidence to know, you know what? I am going to do this. I am going to use a rent replacement strategy and I'm going to own a home. So here's your checklist. Number 1, change the locks immediately after closing. I don't care how nice they are. Put it in your budget early. Change all the locks. I've even had buyers who change all the toilets, not just the seats, the entire toilet. That's up to you. Depends on how much of a germaphobe you are. Here's something really important. If your home has a fireplace, get a chimney sweep. It's not expensive, but you want to get a chimney sweep and you want to get an HVAC tune-up. And then you want to do that every year. $75 or $100 for each of those things to happen every year are so much cheaper than a gigantic repair that happens because you didn't get a tune-up. This is a big one. As soon as you get the house, before you start all of those upgrades that you are ready to do, take photos before. Take the photos and date them. Have all the before photos. This is really important for appraisals and taxes later on down the line. So once you get the home, go take a picture of it as is, then get to work. Now, you own a home, things are a little different. So understand how your taxes work. You've got your PITI most of the time. Most people pay their taxes and insurance as part of their full monthly payment, which means your taxes and insurance go into what they call an escrow account. So make sure that you review your property taxes and you know how they work and ensure that your taxes are escrowed correctly and you've got enough money in there. And then talk to the folks that are handling your loan so you know exactly how they're going to use that and when they're going to pay your taxes. Another thing I've been seeing a lot about online, and the deal is it's just a teaser. There are some states that have this thing called a homestead exemption, and it reduces your taxes. And what people are going to tell you, it reduces your taxes by $7,000. No, it doesn't. In the places where it reduces by $7,000, if your home is valued at $500,000, well, now your home's with the homestead exemption is valued at $493,000. It just takes $7,000 off of what you owe, which can save you a little bit of money. So it's worth doing. So look into homestead exemption after you buy your home. Another thing to do is make sure that you've kept all the information from your inspector. Remember, I tell you guys that inspection, that can become a to-do list. And even ask them if they've got any referrals in your area. And if you've got a great unicorn team, you no longer need Google or AI or Angie's List or any of those places that give you recommendations. Call your realtor first. They know the people in town who take care of people. Now, you should have already updated your insurance policy before you closed on the home, but after you close on the home, make sure you continue to shop around and look for bundles. Because once you're a homeowner, there are other things that maybe might work out in your family's best interest. Now, in some places, you're going to get what's called a supplemental tax payment in the first year. What you're doing is you're making up the difference between the last homeowner and the new homeowner for how much the home is taxed for. I don't have time to go into it right now, but talk to your realtor, talk to your lender, and make sure if you've got a supplemental tax payment coming in the first year of your home ownership that you know about it, which is a great tip to make sure that you're staying in touch with your lender because we're buying right now in 2025 when rates are at 7%, although recently we've been seeing them drop into the low sixes, so that's kind of cool. But should rates drop again, you want to have a good relationship with your lender and know when you're going to save money and when a refinance makes sense for you. Now, I do see a lot of stuff online where people are talking about the true expense of a house. Yes, if you're buying a home with interest, if it's $400,000, it doesn't cost you $400,000 over 30 years. It costs you a heck of a lot more. So there's all these tips and tricks on how to pay your mortgage, like paying, every 2 weeks or paying one extra payment a year, and it reduces how much you pay, blah, blah, blah. All of that is based on if you own the home for 30 years. So if you really want to pay more on your mortgage before you do your first extra payment or your first payment to reduce the principal over and above your monthly minimum, make sure you know why you're doing that. Make sure you can explain in plain English the math of what you're doing. Because the way it works mathematically, if you plan to move out in as much as 15 years, there are several other financial plans that can net you a lot more money than trying to reduce the principal on your home. So set that annual check-in strategy session with your lender. And another annual session you should set is with your realtor. Hey, congratulations, you're a homeowner. You did it. You now have that major playing piece in the game of life. So ask your realtor to keep up to date. Any homie that uses a unicorn gets a really cool automated system that we provide to them that shows them the current market value in their neighborhood. And keeping up on that, it doesn't mean you're going to do anything right then, but it does mean that you can adjust your plans and enjoy the fruits of all the labor that you did to buy this home. And since you got a home warranty for the first year because you listened to the podcast, I want to explain to you that first year, that's an incentive price. It is not that cheap after the first year. So one of the things I recommend to everyone is as soon as you close, pop the champagne, enjoy it, and then set up an automated savings account. What? Sidoni? I just bought it. We've been doing that for a year. I know. This one's for repairs. Set it up ASAP. Put it somewhere that you never see it. Automate. Don't think about it, but keep it there, especially for the year after your home warranty is no longer a thing. And then in the spirit of positivity and dreaming, this last thing for after you get your keys, this is something I absolutely love to teach. And it's fun because nobody that I work with or nobody at How to Buy a Home ever makes any money off of this. It actually reduces the money that the unicorns could make in the future with you long after I've connected you guys and I'm way out of the game. So let me just plant this idea in your head. It's something that I wish more people knew about, understood, and did, and now you have the tools to do it. You can use your first home purchase to financially secure your entire life. Here's the tip. Most people buy their first home and they get excited to watch the equity grow, and then they get ready to sell their home, use that equity, and buy some big fat forever home. I have something that I think not everybody, but some of you should look into. Don't sell your first home. It's a golden goose. So many people end up doing the typical pattern, selling their first home and going up the ladder. But I'm saying don't kill the golden goose. Think about keeping it so you can rent it out. Now, it might only rent out break even at the very beginning, or it might make you a couple hundred a month. But in 10 years, that could be $1,000 or $2,000 above that. And you can cash flow that money while it keeps gaining equity, which is where you make the real money. And I get it. Most everybody sells out, uses the equity. But the gains that you can keep, if you hold on to that first home, they will be monstrous in 20 or 30 years. And I'm telling you this now because you know what? You just did this. So saving to buy home number 2 without selling the first home, you know how to do it. You just did it. But this time, instead of just having 5 months to save up 8% of a purchase price, you have 5 years or 7 years or 10 years to do it. You see where I'm going with this? You don't have to commit to the idea today, but you guys know how much I love a plan. So do this. Move in, pop the champagne, enjoy it for 6 months, and then put a little reminder in your calendar. At 6 months, call your lender and say, all right, I want to do Sidoni's Plan A and Plan B. Now, these are 2 plans for buying your next home, whether you're planning to do it in 5 years, 7 years, or 15 years. So Plan A, you live in your home and you still create a savings plan to buy your second home. You're going to be using some of that savings and all of the equity from the sale of that first home. I know that sounds crazy, but the cool thing is if you anticipate getting a whole bunch of equity, you don't have to save a lot, but just put a little bit away because as you know, when you're buying a home, cash is king and it gets you the best deals. But Plan B is 6 months in, start saving aggressively for your next down payment while you live in home number 1 with 8% of a new purchase price as your goal. 5 or 10 years out, you can rent out home number 1. You get the cash flow and you can use your savings to buy the home. Plus, now you're going to get a whole bunch of tax write-offs because you are a landlord and rental properties give you huge tax incentives. And the awesome thing is you're buying home number 2 with the same low down payment loan and the same planning that you just did. You know how to do it. And here's some extra tips for Plan B. Real estate grows the longer that you have it. So here's my thoughts on it. Leverage the crap out of that first home. Pay the minimums on it. Instead of extra loan payments to the principal on that home, set up a down payment savings account and then put that extra payment into that and pay the minimum, just the $12 a year, so you don't have to sell that home when you buy your second home. Now you've got 2 homes in 5 to 7 years. Imagine owning 2 homes 5 to 7 years from now, sitting pretty for life. Here's the math. In 5 years, let's say you have a $420,000 home, roughly about a $2,700 payment. In 5 years, that home that's $420,000, let's say it's worth $520,000. Okay, well, you could sell it for $100,000 profit and put all that into a new home. Or for the next 5 years, you could save up 8% on a $700,000 home. That's $42,000. Keep the first home as a rental. By then, the rents have gone up, and your mortgage payment on the first home is going to be less than the rents. So you're going to have a higher payment on a new home, but you're going to have some extra cash flow coming in, and you'll have had 5 years to figure all the math out. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you do plan A. But you'll never be able to do plan B if you don't start planning for it right away. I know buying a home feels like the top of the ladder, but truly, imagine, I don't know who's out there listening. Are you 24? And a rent replacement strategy makes sense for you and you could buy a home by the time you're 25. Imagine being financially free by the time you're 32. Dude, I'm 55 and I still feel like I'm 30. But my God, if I'd been able to be financially free for the last 20 years, if I could have had a time machine and gone back and told myself this, I'm not selling a workshop on this. I'm not trying to get you to come and pay and learn. I'm just telling you, this is just stuff I have learned and seen other people do, and you're young. And this is something that you can do because time, ask anyone who does investing, time is how you create the biggest wealth. This is getting way ahead of ourselves, but I just wanted to throw that out there. There's a whole bunch more details on how to buy your first home in the show notes. So apologize for jumping ahead there. I just get really excited about that. But you can check out the deeper details on the episodes in the show notes. And if you haven't done it yet, if you haven't gone to the 10 steps that every first-time homebuyer needs to know that start at episode 301 with 10 full episodes, I highly encourage you do that. Everything you need to know for real clarity is right here in the podcast library. And you can always go to howtobuyahome.com and ask me your specific questions if you're just stuck or you can't find something in the library. I'm here to crush the confusion and get you started on your journey. Stop thinking about it and let's just get you started. A plan costs nothing, yet it can save you unlimited amounts of money when you finally make this happen for you. You can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time home buyers. So visit howtobuyahome.com to get started.